Hi Siri, I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of PodUp with Matthews in the morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning. You're looking live at PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Today's program, we'll have Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show, and we'll have Edgar Thompson. He's got some stories he's writing about, and we'll talk about those. But thank you to Sean Kelly, voice of the Gators, for our introduction today on the program. If you missed it last night, or if you were there, I know we saw a lot of listeners. It was a great night at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and the 2-year anniversary of the head ball coach. He was in rare form as usual, but it was a very good night, no question about it. We got a lot to talk about today. I don't know if y'all seen that story about Michael Orr for The Blind Side. It's a very unique story. We'll talk to Buddy, get his thoughts on it as well when he chimes in. I had some comments from the YouTube yesterday. They didn't come on during the show. They came later. Rodrigo says, the Commanders, you must have misspoken, right? No, I call them the Redskins, Rodrigo. I don't give a damn what they're called. They're the Redskins to me. And then Ron wants to know, does Shane and JC team up to play in scramble tournaments? The answer to that is absolutely not. I play in maybe 2 scrambles a year, Ron. I hate scrambles. It's a waste of time. It's usually for charity. Those are the 2 that I play in, but I want to golf my ball and keep score. I do not want to play in a scramble. And then RNG797 says, it's Eugene Wilson III, not Trey. Well, he goes by Trey. Trey Wilson. That's the 3rd, Trey Wilson. All right, so we got that out of the way. Yeah, good morning to all you Gators out there. We're waiting on Buddy Martin to join the program. Let's get to some text on the Titan Mark text line in the meantime. This is from Andy. He says, thanks for your kindness last night, Spurs. You made it a great evening for lots of people. Well, Andy, we appreciate you showing up. The cool thing I wanted to talk to Buddy about is, there were a lot of beat writers there from the present and the past. And it's just interesting to me how, I don't know if this is the case everywhere, but their relationship with Coach Spurrier is very unique to me, because usually the media and the coaches from whatever team don't get along for the most part or don't want to hang out. But Coach Spurrier does. So Buddy's having trouble, as usual, logging in. And we'll get him here in just a second. This is text on the Titan Mark text line from Josh in Mississippi. He wants to know what my thoughts are on what Prime Coach Deion Sanders said here. He disagrees with it, but that's him. So there's a comment here. He sent me a screenshot. I guess this is from Twitter. Deion says, I don't care about culture. I don't even care if they like each other. I want to win. Yeah, I don't know about that. I disagree with that as well. Do we have Buddy now? All right, he's trying to connect in the meantime. A lot of talk about the Gators out there. There's still a lot of people not sure about this team. I understand it. I mean, it is what it is. We will see. We are, 2 weeks away come this Thursday, and we'll be ready to roll. Reggie says, Wardell Mack committed, a 4-star. Yeah, I think he's a defensive back. I don't know where he plays high school ball, but yeah, that's for sure. Good morning, Buddy. You're on the Buddy. You're not on the Buddy Martin Show. You're on the PodUp with Matthews in the morning. How we doing?
Well, technology dealt me a blow this morning. Somehow or another, I tried to log on, and Brendan's thing came up, and they said, nope, can let you in. Updated. Nope, you didn't do it. So I finally got in. Shane, I'm so glad, because last night was such a special night. We shared and a little bit. You were with all the big dogs. I was with the media boys, and I wanted to just say it was just a wonderful event. And I think we all concurred. I was sitting with the media boys back in the HPC room. You were sitting out with the Mucky Mucks in the middle with Coach Spurrier. But in the conversations I had with 16 or 17 key handpicked media boys, as Steve's called them, we just really relished in talking about how lucky we were to have had Steve Spurrier to write and talk about, in your case, to play for, and now to have this, I don't know what other name to use, shrine. This is a shrine, and it's a terrific restaurant. I mean, wow. How many universities and athletic programs have something like that? Nobody, Shane, nobody.
Yeah, they're nobody. And I think it was on your program last night, or maybe I was talking to somebody else. We all think Steve Spurrier there's no question about it. He's the greatest Gator of all time. But what I think, with the restaurant is so cool because there's been nobody. I mean, Bear Bryant was outstanding. We know that. Nick Saban.
Hmm.
Nobody did what he did as a player and then did it again,
Right.
did so much as a coach. The only person that can possibly, there's two people that can do that. And I don't know if I was talking to you about, I think I was talking to Chris Harry about this last
Mhm.
night. The only other two people that have a chance, but they weren't the player that Steve Spurrier was, would be Jim Harbaugh and Kirby Smart because they're
Yes,
doing
I
it at
agree.
their alma mater.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
but they weren't from. I mean, Harbaugh was a really good player, but he wasn't a Heisman Trophy type player. He's not a Hall of Famer. But it's unique. And before you logged in, I think what's so cool is, and this may have happened to you when you were covering the Denver Broncos or other sports. I just don't know in today's world if any coach, big time Power Five coach, had the relationships that, as you just mentioned, that Coach Spurrier has with the media boys.
Yeah.
You know, now if you get on his bad side, you're done. And we know that
Mhm.
about the Larry
Yep.
Guest and a couple other
Mhm.
dudes.
Mhm.
But I mean, how many coaches like him want to hang out with the media boys? It ain't many of them.
No, none of them. And I can tell you this: that sitting there with those guys last night, that was kind of a Hall of Fame group of media people there last night. I mean, there are others that couldn't be there or passed on. But I mean, people who've been close. I mean, I was talking to Pat Dooley last night, and I said, "What's it like doing the show with Coach Spurrier? Because he does it every week." And I've done lots of shows with Coach Spurrier. I can tell you, and I know that he's different to a lot of different people. He said he amazes me because he we get ready to go in to do the show, and I think, what am I going to talk about today? I don't have anything to talk about. I don't have a topic, whatever. Invariably, he shows up and lights it up with something. And this is the thing. This is the Shane. This is the gift that keeps on giving from media people. Look, you got notebooks to fill, videotapes to fill, record. He has filled thousands of them, and with quality stuff, quality. And so, in my conversations with all those guys, who all can we remember? I mean, Dooley was there, Mike Bianchi was there, David Whitley was there. He'll be on the show tonight. Steve Russell. Uh, shoot,
Zach was a youngster, was there.
Zach Alberti was a youngster. Brendan Martin was there. Uh, I can't recall them all, but it was a
Scott
terrific bunch.
Carter was there.
Scott Carter, yes, yeah, you better than I do on memory. But so it was a group of people that admire, respect him. This is not like worshiping, worshiping somebody or think they can do no wrong. You know what? They all have criticized him in the past at one time or the other, and he may not like it, but he understands that part too. So here he is. What is he? 78,
Or
and
79, one or the other. Yeah,
right. I mean,
78, 79.
here he is. I mean, here he is in this beautiful museum restaurant with great food, great service. It's a museum for him, and he is loving life. He and Jerry. I talked to Jerry about it last night. I mean, he has landed in a place that's just perfect for him, and he's not done yet. He keeps on giving. So I know everybody. I'll speak for all 16 of those people in that room, 17, God, Brendan. We are eternally grateful for what he has done for the University of Florida and what he's done for the media and what he's done for us. We'll always, and I just want to say with all my heart how much I appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree. And it was a, tremendous night, no question about it. I'm anxious to see what kind of funds they raise for the Ronald McDonald House when it's all said and done. Because there was a lot of
11%,
people.
Shane. 11% went last
Well,
night.
right, 11% of how much though? And then not only that though, I think all the portion of the drink sales goes somewhere as well. So there were a lot of people drinking. Um,
Yes, there were.
Buddy, I wanted to get your thoughts, and it came out, I guess, yesterday or this morning. The Blind Side, the movie. Michael Orr, the big offensive lineman. Have you seen this?
I've seen it. I glanced at it last night, Shane. I got in so late. I saw the movie. I know a little bit about it, but I didn't get the full thing. No. So what happened?
Well, he's claiming now that he was never adopted by that family, and he's wanting a portion or proceeds of all the money they made off the movie.
Of
And I don't
course he
know. It's
does.
I don't know
Of
all the
course
story
he
to it.
does. Oh,
I think it's I think it's very interesting, and why it took this long for him to figure out he wasn't adopted is kind of weird to me. But anyway, Rick says on Facebook Live,
sounds like a money grab to me, Shane.
yeah, Rick says HBC's not full of himself like some coaches. That's true. He is in his own way, but that's who he is. All right, buddy.
Well, let me
Let's
say
talk.
one thing about him. One more. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. But I asked him last night about his relationships and about how it's funny that even Georgia fans, and I've heard them on my show, you've heard them say, I miss the HBC. I wish he was here. Because why? Because he spiced things up. He made the game better and bigger and fun. And it's something that we don't have a lot of these days, talking about NIL and transfer portals, whatever. He made it fun to be around, to watch him play, whatever. And very grateful for that. And he also, I asked him, well, why were you so good at winning games as underdogs? Because the two games we talked about that he didn't win, he was at home, which he won them almost all, were the 93 Auburn game and 2001 Tennessee game. But I said, you had a terrific way of getting your teams ready when they were underdogs, which they rarely were, Shane, when you played. Right. But he said, well, I didn't just coach at University of Florida. I coached at Duke, and I coached at Tampa Bay Bandits, meaning that he had to play from the underdog position a lot. He had to use what he could use, and he was a master at that. When he was the underdog, I thought, oh boy, here we come. So that's another thing I want to say.
Yeah, and I still wish to this day, and I really thought this would have been something that James Bates would have done because he does a lot of those, like, I don't call them movie production, but those different type shows.
Yeah.
If somebody could have just had a camera following him on a daily basis and saw how he coached, how he ran meetings, how he installed offense, because nobody understands it. It's like no other coach. And people will be like, how in the hell are we losing to a guy that does it this way? Because nobody else in the world does it his way. And it's a shame that nobody will ever see that. And I just think it's amazing. And
wait, Shane, don't say see it in the visual sense. They can see it in other ways, envisioning the words. And I can tell you there's a way to still do that almost. And that is eyewitnesses, people who saw it. And last time we talked about it, Steve and I wrote a column for Steve. The first 2 years he was in San Francisco called Passing Thoughts. And he wasn't playing. So we had 2 columns a week. They were really fun. People couldn't get enough of it. And we thought, man, passing thoughts. I'm going to go back and say, Coach, we need to do one more passing thoughts. Maybe make it a little book and talk about all those things we talked about. And you as an eyewitness to that and the things that you saw can tell people what was it like. You saw it. You were part of it. You could tell people. There's a way to tell stories without just video. Okay? So
yeah, I mean, the most amazing thing I tell all my friends I coach with, I played with in the National Football League everywhere, is if, like, installation and meetings, and people, this may bore people, but I think it's fascinating. They got all these overhead projectors back in the day when I played. They have all, even then they had some kind of, I can't think of what it's called, but PowerPoint
Oh
presentations.
yeah,
And now they got all this extravagant stuff of playbooks and all that. Well, our playbook, and this was for all 12 years, and he did it a little bit with the Redskins, and he did it at South Carolina. He would take about 3 sheets of paper like this, buddy, 3 sheets of paper. He'd draw little squares. He'd put the formations and the plays, handwriting it. He'd staple it together. There's your playbook for the Tennessee Vols. Stick it in your back pocket in case you want to study it while you're walking on campus. Okay. Who in the hell else does that? Nobody. And that's what I'm saying, is that it was fascinating to me to this day, because now that I coached in the XFL, they want to do all this crap. I'm the same way. I just write it down and make Xerox copies and give it to the players. And I've sat in on meetings at Florida. It's so detail oriented, and I just want to sometimes say, hey, look, if it's a one high safety, throw it here. If it's too high, throw it there. Let's don't worry about all that other nonsense. So it's a very
beautiful. That's very beautiful what you just said there. That's the minimalist, as they call it, viewpoint of life and how to simplify it. And for all the so-called convoluted things in football, you're right. The fun and gun and what's the mystery? It's just basically. And Urban Meyer, he had like a one sheet thing on his plan to win. It's simple, easy thing. And you're right. Simplifying is the key to teaching. Shane, you told us more right there in 90 seconds than most pro people told us about in a month, about how he coached. It's the old kiss, keep it simple, stupid. But he also, remember the time that they lost the playbook, quote unquote, in Auburn? Somebody was on the bus. It was after your time, and one of the quarterbacks or whatever, and they got his playbook, quote unquote, or his game plan. He said, "I don't care. That's fine. Whatever."
Well, you don't know when people are going to call stuff. So
no,
really
exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, we kind of reminisce today on the program, but all right, buddy. Moving forward, Gators, a little over 2 weeks away from heading out to Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Did you see? We talked about it yesterday, but the backup, Cam Rising, where it's very questionable because of his ACL tear.
Yeah.
But the backup quarterback, Kyle Whittingham, let him get clobbered in a practice, and he lacerated his kidney.
His liver.
Yeah. Hell, both of them. Doesn't sound very good either way.
Either one, not good.
I lacerated my spleen. Was that my 9th grade or 10th grade year? And let me tell you something. I thought I was going to die. But so that kid's out. So I still don't think there's any way they play Cam Rising this game. What do you think?
If he can walk, he'll play. He'll play at some point. If I were Whittingham, I'd bring him off the bench at least for a series to see if he can go. Just his presence, because he's an inspirational leader. But physically, it could ruin their season if he gets hit wrong. So I would say it's 50-50 there. Shane, things happen in football, right? Things happen. That's why all you people talk about, well, the Israel, that you don't know what's going to happen. It's a long season. There are injuries. Things go on. This game means so much because if you look at the schedule, look at the games. I wrote them down last night on the show. There's really 5 key games that Florida's got to win 1 or 2 of somehow. And Utah's won, Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, and FSU. Can they win 2 of those, Shane?
Which teams are those again? Tennessee, Utah, and who?
Utah, Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, and FSU. Can they win 2 of those games?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Then they'll win 8 games. If they're going to win 2 of those 5 to win 8.
Yeah.
So it's such a big game. Yeah. So
I
don't know. Yeah, I was really interested in your comments about merch. I know we worn the subject out, but Gator fans who don't wake up and embrace what's happening right now, you're going to miss out on some terrific times, because there's going to be some games that he's going to bring you out of your seats. I don't mean electrified, but that team, the experience he's got, Shane, he's going to move the football, the chains.
Yeah.
If he sticks it down Georgia's throat, what are you going to say then?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that just it baffles me is, and I really firmly believe this: if the general public, whether it's the Gator Nation or people around the country,
Mhm.
if Graham Mertz had come from any other logo on his helmet, people would be okay with it. He's got 30 something starts under his belt. He played his stats, which sometimes are misleading, whether you're good or bad, pretty much the same as Peyton Thorne, the Michigan State transfer that's going to Auburn. I think he's probably going to be their starter, maybe not, but people are raving because Auburn got this transfer from the Big Ten. Mertz is the same guy. We've talked about he's highly recruited. People love recruiting, right? They love high
Mhm.
school
Five
recruits.
star, 4 and
He
5
was a
star.
5 star.
Mhm.
I said in a meeting about probably a month ago now, I was blown away at his football intelligence.
So you heard him,
Blown away.
really?
So yes, he knows the game. This coaching staff trust him. The practices that I've been to, you can tell the team feeds off of him. They believe in him. He's got great leadership skills. And again, people, you lead in multiple ways. You're not going to have a Tim Tebow leader, rah rah guy. That's who Tim was. There's nothing wrong with it. Danny, very quiet leader. Okay. Mertz is kind of that quiet leader, but the players believe in him. And I think he's going to have a hell of a year.
He's like you,
Like I said,
Shane. He's like you. That's the way you played. And,
and I've said this, to me, he reminds me of a quarterback that Steve Spurrier would have recruited.
yeah, that's great. That's a great testimony right there.
He's smart, he's accurate, gets rid of the football, knows where to go with it.
Yeah.
And did any of, and I know the game has changed, the world has changed, the quarterback position, but in Coach Spurrier's 12 years, did anybody get wild by any splash plays at the quarterback position?
Well, yeah, a little bit with Danny, but
Danny had no splash plays. He threw
well, yeah, he had to.
completions. He
Well,
threw
but
completions.
what do you call a splash play? I mean, I'm talking about touchdown pass.
Well, splash plays to me in now modern day football is when your quarterback who's wearing a single digit
Yeah.
or in the teens drops back, supposed to throw it, but then runs all around the place, and that's what a splash play to me
okay.
is.
That's not what I thought a splash play was. I thought a splash play was something when you threw a 76-yard bomb or something.
No, that's something that a quarterback's supposed to do to me. Yeah. So
doing something outside his skill level to make the play work, right?
Yeah, it's just I think splash plays nowadays because it comes from guys using their God-given ability to do something.
Anthony Richardson makes some splash plays. Okay.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson makes a lot of splash plays, but not throwing the football. It's all running. So
I got you.
That's that. I mean, maybe we should just call him damn quarterback making some great runs.
I like that better.
Yeah,
easier to understand. Hey Shane, let me ask you a quick question. I hate to interrupt your show. It's your show. Is that in the reality of things? If I said to you, "Here's 3 areas," I want you to bet your money on which one will be the most significant in the future of this team. Quarterback is one. We know that, right? Quarterback is key, right? But then what are the next 2? I mean, how about defense? I asked Coach Spurrier last night. He said defense. Yeah. Defense is going to be so key. And then you can take other things like, special teams or kicking, whatever. But which besides the quarterback is the key play, is the key position?
Well, I go back to what I've been harping on for the last 3 years. Defensive front 7. Mm-hmm. That has been the problem with Florida's defense. It hasn't been SEC caliber. Is it where it needs to be? I don't think it is. But is it better? Hell yeah, it is. We brought in SEC caliber looking. Now, when I'm just talking about physical specimens, we look like another SEC defense up front now. Linebackers, we brought the Mitchell kid in from Ohio State. I think is a good player. We got some other good young players there. That's going to be the key to the year, the front 7. Yeah, okay. But it's a lot better than it was last year.
I like the secondary way you shape it up. I really do. I think you got the right guy. Corey Brewer is going to be much more effective back there. I think they're going to make some picks. If they can make some stops and get some turnovers, it's a whole different season, Shane.
Oh yeah. Andy says, Shane, did you see the Gators are ranked 42nd in the new AP poll? No respect. No, I mean
Great,
it makes
great, great.
it
That's perfect, perfect.
again, but the coaches poll they were 27th.
Yeah.
So whatever. Just go
Who
win some
cares?
games. That'll take care of itself. And
Exactly. Exactly.
we will be teeing it up 2 weeks from this Thursday in Salt Lake City. Buddy, before we let you go, who you got on the program tonight?
David Whitley, Coach Lauren Meadows, our new deputy editor of the Buddy Martin Media, and a young man named Matt Corderoro, who is going to be terrific. He's our last year of his internship. He writes great, and we'll talk. By the way, we didn't mention Lindell Hudson's back, the guy who was injured. He's the first reserve tackle, injured in the quarterback in the car crash. He came back to practice yesterday. A little note there for you. So tonight we'll talk about a little bit about recruit Mac, the terrific. Everybody's raving about this guy Mac, and like he is excited about that. So we'll talk about that. Brendan and I will host the show tonight at 9:00 on YouTube. Hey Shane, we're up to 1,000 viewers on YouTube. Yahoo!
Nice. JB says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. And by the way, Jeffrey Melton was there last night. I asked him if I could get one. I asked him if I could get one, borrow his shirt that he always has on these commercials, that crazy Gator shirt. I wonder who is winning the running game in practice, the offense or the defense. Haven't heard or seen any updates. It's hard to tell because you're not tackling.
Not going full speed.
Look, this team, what they did so well offensively last year to me was how they schemed up runs. I just think they do a really good job there. We got great running backs. We all know that. I think
four of them now, Shane. Four of them now.
Well, maybe five if you count the freshman Webb.
Webb.
We have some really good. Our skill players are better than last year.
Yeah, I think the other thing is I keep harping on this. In addition to some of the people returning a wide receiver, we obviously know Ricky Pearsall. I'm a big Jaquavion Frazier's man, but there are three young people. When Billy Gonzalez gets his hands on those guys, like Andy Jean, Aiden Mizell, what in the world will that be like, man? That could be exciting.
Well, I'm a huge fan of the three freshmen, true freshman wide routes. I think they're going to be outstanding. I mean, outstanding.
You know, young wide receivers like young pitchers in baseball when they come in with that 98 heat. You know, I mean, I just love that. I think it's going to be really. If you're not getting on board here and checking this out, you'll have to pick them every game or whatever. But pay attention, folks, to what's happening. This could be kind of a special season leading up to what may be a terrific season in 2024. But I want to play 23. I'm not just saying look to 20. Let's play this year, Shane.
Yeah,
this is the kind of year I enjoy.
Have a very good year, buddy. Last thing, I haven't been following it. Are the Rays still in first place?
No, they're back. They're like 2.5 or 2 out. They won last night in the big game. They've had a terrible run of luck on their pitchers being injured, and now Wander Franco, their world-class shortstop, who's playing out of his mind, has been sidelined by some kind of story about his involvement with a young girl, and now he's not playing. They've had every imaginable thing happen to them, but they're still playing hard. They're not in first place, but they're just behind by 2 games. And they'll be if they stop tomorrow, they'd be in the wild card.
This is a great text on the Titan of our text line from Daryl. He says, guys, college football is still fun, but when Coach Spurrier was at Florida, I even walked into the swamp with a swagger.
Well, we all did, Shane.
Yeah, because I always tell people that you kind of play to the demeanor of your head coach. And I mean, if you go back and you watch, I mean, I know it's penalties now, but when Riedel would catch touchdowns or Jack Jackson, just the stuff they would do, and Eric Rett, the stuff they would do after they scored touchdown. But look, we were a confident, cocky, however you want to phrase it, because our head coach was confident and cocky.
Yeah. But Bob Stoops told me the story one time when he went to Tennessee. They played up there when he was coaching. He said, "Never forget the touchdown that Riedel caught for a pass." He said he jumped up in the stands and kissed the co-ed.
Yeah.
He said he'll never forget that.
Yes, indeed. All right, buddy. Good stuff as always. We'll make sure everybody tunes in to the Buddy Martin Show about 9
YouTube,
p.m. Eastern time on YouTube. And
There you go. Thank you, man.
go like or join or subscribe. That's what it is.
Subscribe. Yeah, they say smash that thing. Subscribe, smash it. That's what they say.
We're on YouTube too, so you
I
can,
know you are.
subscribe there as well.
Absolutely,
Buddy,
should.
Good stuff as always, my man. Good seeing you last night.
Good to see you too, Shane. Thanks.
All right, that's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. We're going to take a quick timeout. We come back. We'll be joined by Edgar Thompson, who was there last night as well. Get his thoughts on what he's seeing and hearing and writing about this Florida Gator football team. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peaceland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Campus USA Credit Union.
QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, and watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wibby, Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Attention all Gator fans, Meldon Law is giving away a chance to experience the Florida-Georgia game like never before. 2-night stay at the Hilton on the River, dinner at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, 2 premium tickets to the game, and a football signed by Coach Billy Napier, and much more. Go to the Meldon Law Facebook page and look for the VIP experience for 2. Good luck and go Gators!
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point is the flagship restaurant of the Florida Gators, the hottest restaurant in Florida in the heart of Gator Nation. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Check us out at spurriers.com. We're going to go to the Titan Tomorrow hotline now, and we're joined by a dude who, let's see, what was the over-under of how many chocolate chip cookies Edgar Thompson had last night? Good morning, Edgar. How are you, my man? How many cookies did you eat last night?
I had just one, but God, I could eat in like 5.
I guarantee you, because you know they were in that buffet style and you're walking around talking to people. Every time I walk by, I'd go grab another one. I bet I ate at least 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was there kind of late, and the Chris, Harry, and Bianchi and those guys are getting these to-go boxes. I was like, screw it. So I put me about 2 dozen of them in a box, and they said freeze them, and then you can heat them up in the microwave. So I got plenty of
Why are you're making me jealous?
Well, next year, load up on the to-go box. Coach Spurrier and Jerry even took a to-go box home because I sat at their table. So that was pretty cool. Anyway,
I should have to-go boxed a couple of those cookies. I was going to throw one in a napkin, and that's forgot.
Yeah, but good. It was a good night last night, Edgar. You were there with a lot of the media boys. Just give me your thoughts real quick on the event.
It was great. The place is booming. We were talking to Freddie Wiebe, who's kind of been the brains behind it on a big level and done all the research and planning and overseen it. And the guy just puts in so much sweat equity into the place. He was there at 6 a.m. in the morning yesterday getting ready. Yeah. That's the thing with these restaurants. He was talking about all the ones that have failed. One that hasn't is Shanahan's, you know, the former OC here, Denver Broncos coach, obviously. But there have been all kinds of failed attempts by athletes to capitalize on their names with restaurants. And part of it's probably because they don't have a Freddie Wiebe. And coach appears, he's there a few times a week. You got to, show up, and you can't just like think it's going to happen just because you got your name on it. A lot of competition. So they're doing a great job, man.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, Edgar, Gator football. I believe Graham Mertz is finally going to speak to the media today. Is that correct?
He is. We got him in the spring, and he's great. I wrote a story in the spring, and I'm sure it'll be written about a little bit the same topic, because I grabbed him off to the side. They gave him a few minutes with me, and just about what it means to be a Gator quarterback. I asked him at the statues, like, he's like, I just stood there for like 15 or 20 seconds, just kind of soaking it in. And it's a big deal. I mean, you were one, and a very successful one. So it probably doesn't resonate with you on the level that it does with maybe, someone who wasn't, and for an outsider. But being the quarterback at the University of Florida is a big deal. And Steve Spurrier made it a big deal, beginning with you, mainly. I mean, there were some good ones, obviously, before you guys, including Steve Spurrier. But, yeah, a lot of great ones, man. 3 Heisman winners, a runner-up in Rex Grossman, a finalist in Kyle Trask. A lot of great QBs through here, man.
Yeah, and speaking of that, you understand what it's all about being the quarterback here. But when I had to speak to the quarterbacks this year, none of these dudes are from the state of Florida. And I told them, I said, I know what you're going through, because until you play in the Florida-Georgia game, you don't understand it. You got to remember, I grew up in Mississippi. These guys grew up in Kansas and all these other places. They don't understand that rivalry, whereas a lot of the guys on your team who grew up here in the state of Florida, they play against a lot of Georgia high schools. They do that Florida-Georgia high school game. So you have to learn about that. Same way with Florida State, you have to learn about it as well. And I talked about that, and I said, you learn very quickly. Now it's changed a little bit, because I don't think it's as crazy, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, like it used to be, Edgar. Because when we used to come across that bridge and the bus they would be throwing bottles at the buses. It was crazy. But so you got to kind of learn. That's one thing I talked to them about. But I think Graham's gonna have a heck of a year. I hope he does. And but he's a good kid, and people need to get behind him. He's your quarterback. It ain't changing, people. He's your quarterback, so support him.
All that noise, the beat people. It's like you get these group texts. I don't know your thing, but don't respond to group text like that. I've just had 6 people have responded to this because we're getting Mertz today. So everybody's all excited. We already knew we were getting them. All right. Anyway, to your point, Shane, Kevin Carter was there, your former teammate, was at the facility on Friday, and he spoke to the team. And Billy said it was like 30 minutes of absolute fire. Kevin can speak very well. Big guy, imposing presence, great player here, a 2-time All-SEC player, an All-American in '94, won a Super Bowl with the Rams, couple-time Pro Bowler, 100-sack guy. This guy's an accomplished player. And now he's on CBS doing TV. He spoke to the team and just challenged them, and I think he gave them perspective and all that. So I wrote about it today. And I think Kevin Brockway might have written about it too. But my angle is basically like, 87,000 football facility, 90,000 person crowds in the Gator brand. This just didn't happen overnight, I mean, guys like you and Kevin Carter and all the great players, and all the years of success is what kind of allowed these guys to get the spoils of being a Gator and all the adulation. So anyway, I asked Cam Carroll. He's a Mississippi guy like you. Played college football in New Orleans for Tulane. He's like, look, man, you didn't really know, and then you see all the banners and all the stuff, and he goes, it sticks with you pretty quickly. And Caleb Douglas talked about it a little bit too, because he's a Texas kid, and he was saying, yeah, man, I mean, it's like, wearing that emblem goes a really long way. And you just, so many greats, you just don't realize. I don't think these kids fully appreciate it till they get here. There's no real sense of history with a lot of younger people. And even, I'm sure it was the same with my generation. I was just into history. I like it. I'm fascinated by it. I think it's one reason I really love golf. I think the history of golf is so rich and fascinating. But yeah, the Gators have some real history, and these players are learning about it. And Billy's determined to let them, or to bring them in to, give them perspective. Like, this just isn't here because you're here. It's because of everything that happened before you. And you got to kind of not earn the right, but you got to kind of keep it going and get it back to what it used to be, which, they have a long way to go to getting it back to that so-called, what was Dan Mullen's expression? The Gator standard. He talked about all the time.
They don't call it that anymore, do they? Gator standard?
Well, no, probably because Dan used it all the time.
Yeah. Andy asked on Facebook Live, Shane, was Kevin Carter a fiery guy when you played with him? Yes and no. I mean, Kevin's such a well-spoken, like soft-spoken guy. But when he buckled his helmet up, I mean, he played hard. He wasn't a guy that talked trash or anything like that. Just did his job and was very good at it. His story is remarkable, quite honestly. The guy didn't play. I don't think he played football until like his junior year in high school. So he was in the band.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you got to look that up. I don't remember exactly when he started playing, but yeah, he played some instrument in the band and then decided to start playing football. So, but he's a really good player. Does a great job for CBS Sports Network and had a tremendous career, as you said. So it's good to have a guy like Kevin Carter speak to those guys for sure. All right, so let me ask, what are you going to ask Graham Mertz today in the presser?
Well, having spoken to his quarterbacks coach, Justin Hoover, in the story I wrote a couple weeks ago that we spoke about here, I want to find out like why this offense like fits him and get their story on what it was really like playing quarterback at Wisconsin and why he thinks to be different.
Because I want you to ask this question to him if you have time.
I'm writing it down. I need some questions.
Why in the hell did you choose to go to Wisconsin?
Well, that's true. He's too class a kid to besmirch that program. And when he went to
the reason I say that is because, I mean, if you're a highly recruited kid, if you're a good quarter, I mean, quarterbacks like to throw the football, Edgar, right? So
yes,
why anybody would want to go play quarterback at Iowa or Wisconsin just blows my mind.
Well, here we go. Let's tell you. I'm looking right here because I was surprised even. So when he went there in 19, actually they were coming off an 8-5 year. So he probably was sold. We need you. They were 13-1 the year before, won the Orange Bowl. 11-3 won the Cotton Bowl. 10-3 Holiday Bowl. 11-3 won the Outback Bowl. So you're talking about a team 14, 15, 16, 17. The Gators won 7 games, 10 games, 9 games, and 4 games. And Wisconsin won 45 games. So that's why he didn't come to Florida. But anyway,
I don't even know if we recruited him. I'm just saying
they probably did because
Wisconsin.
But what I'm saying is 45. They won 45 games in that period of time, and 53 if you include 2018. That program was rolling, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Reggie says he went to Wisconsin because they were the first team to offer him, and he wanted to be true to his commitment. He said he saw that in a presser.
That's fair.
Yeah. And then JB says, I hope we throw it more than he did at Wisconsin. They will. They will. They're going to throw it a bunch. So,
well, the thing Justin Hoover said is they were just in a lot of obvious passing downs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely they waited till third down, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10 to throw it, and that's hard, very hard. All right, Edgar. Before I want to talk golf for a second. I know people hate it when we talk golf. But have you watched the PGA Tour, the playoffs now? I mean, what Lucas Glover has done is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, he switched to a long putter like 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. Now, he might have been woodshedding with it for years. Who knows? This is a guy in the Sergio Garcia, Adam Scott, Lee Westwood. I mean, Mode, you go back old school. Johnny Miller was a guy. I mean, Sam Snead was doing saddleback putting at one point. Remember, he would like stand with it like a croquet mallet, and they stopped doing that. Side saddle, not saddleback. And there been great. Hogan would stand over a 3-foot putt and just freeze. These guys that can stripe the ball, man, I'm not saying it happens all the time, just lose their putting confidence somewhere. I don't know what it is. Or don't ever have are never good putters. Sergio and Adam Scott, if those guys could putt, you know what I mean? Vijay Singh, these guys can't putt. I mean, relative to the PGA Tour level, they can putt on our level, but the guy just was striping the ball. He's been on the tour for 15 years. So he switches to a long putter, and he's won twice in a row. It's unbelievable. But he's get out of that yips. I mean, he would miss 3-footers like with regularity. Tommy Fleetwood, look at him. He missed a 3-footer the other day. He would have been in the playoff if he hadn't. That's another guy. I don't know why they're all not using these long putters, right? I mean, but anyway, he's on a roll. The big story out of that tournament, if you watched any of it, which I watched only a little bit by the end, it was 110 heat index. It was like Gainesville that day. And he was soaked through his clothes. Did you watch it?
Oh yeah. I wanted to like text or put on Twitter. Can whatever clothing line that he reps, can we get some dry fit material for the young man?
Exactly. He's old school. He's 40-some-year-old.
He's wearing like cotton Dockers or something out there.
The new materials are the greatest, man, because he had swamp ass galore. I mean, I don't know if I can say that on the pod, that word, but remember Davis Love, obviously, but he would get that, and it would get worse as tournaments went on and he started missing putts. He's another guy. It's a hard skill, the putting part of it. I don't know about you when you play, if that's a tough skill for you. So guys can just whiff 3-footers, and he's on a roll. He could win the FedEx Cup, and I don't think anyone wants that. But there's still big time names up there. You know, Rahm's leading, Roy's third. I mean, it'll be good. The playoffs. Now, the thing I like about it, to end on this, they cut it to 70 from 125 to start. So it goes from 70 to 50 to 30 instead of 125 to 70. You know what I mean? They've cut it. And so it's harder to get in. Like Justin Thomas finished 71, and there was a lot of drama around that.
Yep, he almost chipped in. On the Titan of our text line, Chris from Ayaka says, Shane, have you and Edgar hit the links together? No, we've talked about it, but we've never played together. So we will eventually.
Better happen.
Natasha says Kevin Carter was a 5'8" saxophone player when he was like 14 years old. Then he grew 8 inches over the summer. That's when he started playing football.
Okay.
So he was in the band. So Asa says it looks like Lucas Glover is anchoring the putter against his chest. Well,
the golf podcast I listen to the most is called Shotgun Start. They say he isn't anchoring it like Longer or someone who they think does anchor, but I don't really like that broomstick. But hey, look, if you do it the right way, I'll tell you a great story from this podcast. It's Gator related. Okay, Alejandro Tosti.
Yeah, he's got his card.
He just won, but they had some great stories. So if somebody who likes golf, and I'm not going to tell the whole story, go listen to Shotgun Start about the 30-minute mark. But apparently he's a pretty fiery guy. And they were recalling some story about how he showed up late, hadn't even warmed up, and shoot 64 and was hitting shots. And apparently Sean Foley, you remember Sean, who coached Tiger Woods, Lydia Ko for a while, Justin Rose. He coached a lot of top guys and girls. He is really good childhood friends with JC Deacon. They go way back. They're both Toronto natives. And Sean Foley couldn't believe Toasty's impact position. And JC apparently back then said, there's nobody in this tournament who can hit shots like the kid. Apparently he's like an all-world talent. I didn't even realize it. I know he won the SEC individuals in 2018. I know he's a good player, but I didn't realize he was this shot-making whiz.
Tony says he isn't anchoring it. Tough to watch though. Glover and Horschel in the final group the week before last was torture putting routine wise. Yeah, Billy's got his little sneak up on the golf ball putting strokes. Ruse Ogre State Farm, also a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Speaking with Edgar Thompson here, a few more minutes. Oh, we got a text on Titan Tomorrow text line. It's from Jimmy. I'm not sure where Jimmy's from. Well, it's 407, so somewhere probably in the Orlando area. He says, Edgar, what were your thoughts on AR's preseason game?
I got to be honest, I didn't watch it.
I didn't either.
I don't watch much preseason football, and I just kind of got. I think I had a lot of work to do or something, and I just lost. I know he threw a pick early on that was, kind of tried to make a play with his arm out in the flats. But overall, how did he do? I didn't even look, man. I
didn't watch it either. I mean, I think statistically 7 of 14 or 7 of 13, something like that, 60-something yards. But I can't watch preseason football. I can't at all.
He's getting an opportunity. I mean, that's all you can, I hate to sound like a coach, but that's all you can ask for him. We'll see what he does with it. He's working with the guy who turned Jalen Hurts from someone who people were suspect that he would ever make it as an NFL quarterback into an MVP candidate. So he's working with a good guy.
Dan says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, the highlights of AR, he looked worse. So, for whatever it's worth. So, all right, Edgar, I want you to hear This Day in Sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. In 1999, the PGA Championship, which used to be played about this time of the year.
What's Medina?
At Medina Country Club, which I've played, great golf course outside of Chicago. Tiger Woods wins his second major by 1 stroke over Sergio Garcia.
Yeah.
Where are they playing in Chicago this week? Do you know?
They're playing at Olympia Fields, which is where Jim Furyk won the 2003 U.S. Open. That PGA in 99 was when Sergio was 19 and everyone still loved him. And then he didn't kind of.
Is that the one where he hit the crazy shot and went running after it?
I went running and jumped like 2 or 3 feet off the ground. You could see how athletic he was. It's fun. Yeah. I used to love Sergio, man, but his act wore thin. All right, Hayes, but seriously, Shane, what do you have for Mertz? I'm being serious. I hate for you to do my job, but what do you think fans want to know? What do you want to know? Because I've talked to the guy. I mean, I wrote a big piece on it, 2 big pieces on him now. I mean, it's not like I feel like I got to dig in deeply. I guess
the question is, how excited are you to play in the Southeastern Conference, the best league, the best football there is? The Big Ten, blah, 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 blah. I get it. But the SEC is the premier conference. How excited are you to be the starting quarterback at the University of Florida?
Well, I'm going to ask him what he thinks he brings to the team, too. In O-wise, not like all the leadership and the football IQ and setting the tone, because he's the classic quarterback who shows up before everyone and leaves after everyone. And he works his tail off. What did Billy say? That he got here and was doing 2-a-days on his own. Like just bust and tail to learn the offense. He knows this offense a lot better than the previous quarterback. And that's going to help Florida. You understand that stuff much better than I, how it works. But there's a lot of decisions that need to be made before the ball snapped. And he's going to be very good at that.
All right. Zach just sent a Facebook Live. Last question of the day. He says, Shane, according to Nick Dellatorre, which you know Nick very well, I do too.
Of course.
He says the Gators are not going to throw it much. I disagree with that 1,000%.
Well, I'm not sure. I love Nick, and he's very plugged in. I have no clue how he would know that.
Yeah, I mean, none of us know it because we don't know the situations of the game, but they will throw it as much or more than they threw it last year. I will say that.
Billy is 55-45 when he was at Louisiana. That's still throwing the ball a decent amount. You get 50 plays. That's what I mean. I can't even do the math. I mean, it's 20, whatever. They're throwing the ball 25, like you said the other day.
They will throw it no less than 25 attempts, no less than 25 attempts a game.
Well, I was going to say no less than 20. They're going to throw the ball 20 to 25 times, and maybe it'll be like you said, 25, 30. I don't know. They're going to throw to running backs. They're going to get guys in space, man. Why would you want to put Trevor Etienne in space? Someone the other day, I'll end on this and won't say who it was, told me Trevor Etienne, best player on this roster, and it's not even close. That was the comment from someone who's like seeing practice every day. I don't know if that's hyperbole, but I'm excited to watch him this year.
Yeah. Well, we're excited that you joined the program, Edgar. Appreciate your time. Let everybody know how they can follow you on Twitter and read your stuff.
OS Gators, the same as always. And appreciate you having me, man.
Appreciate the time. That's Edgar Thompson. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Hey, Shane, can you hit me up about that year?